They have already started. They got that one victory already and looking to add another one.
Let's see what comes out of this one, as Liquid hope that this is going to be finally the roster they need to make this move forward against Slooshie, KonKwon, and ReignOver. ReignOver rejoining, and Nori only played one game so far. Cassidy off the table, Zach as well. No huge surprises just yet.
And ReignOver is definitely a talking point, especially this early in Champion Select already. He's one of the very few junglers that you can actually specifically target him rather than just banning, oh, Zach and Elise, they're super strong right now. You need to get those off the table. Because ReignOver has had limited success on champions, not Olaf. A little bit of Elise there, but again, that's one of the overall bans that people are taking out right alongside Zach, just as far as overpowered junglers. And it's always been a possibility, and it kind of has dogged him throughout his career.
Yeah, he's definitely been a very meta-dependent jungler, where the things that he's good at have to suit him pretty well. Cassidy, Galio, Kennen all off the table from Team Liquid. One final ban for Phoenix1, and then Liquid's going to get first pick here, and Rek'Sai going to remove another ReignOver champion. This does leave up Gragas, it does leave up the Elise for him.
Yeah, and the Olaf. I actually feel like Team Liquid, or specifically ReignOver, isn't feeling too much pressure, because yes, Rek'Sai was one of his main champions before, but the two main things to me that ReignOver always did the best with Rek'Sai were using her ultimate to complement his jungle pathing and keeping tunnels in places where he would get back out and get these farm leads and really control the jungle from there. Plus the multi-man knockups, and both of those parts of her kit were removed in order to give her more attack damage scaling and all that. Yeah. Regardless, he did play one game on it, and it wasn't anything to really phone home about. So go back to the Caitlyn, one of the most strong AD carries, we'll say, at the moment now.
I consider her the best right now in competitive play bot laner, so Caitlyn's no surprise. Very interesting to me seeing Phoenix1 rush pick the Jhin. It says they're making sure they can counterpick and match roles in the bottom, because there's obviously no rush in the Jhin being taken away.
Yeah, and I really do kind of side with all the teams that have had increased importance on picking Jhin. I think that the buffs, they were fairly minor, but everybody's latching on to the Energizer builds with him. He can also go Death Stance. Like, there's so many options with Jhin right now.
Sure.
He feels much more flexible than in the past. And I like that, some of the damage was given back in the recent patch, 7.12, to kind of give him new life.
Yeah, I agree that the item builds are very interesting, and you have ways of adapting, but I think that the buffs were substantial. I think he would not be picked without those changes coming in, so certainly brought him into the limelight.
He wasn't. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, but just as far as qualifying how big the changes were, I think they were actually quite important there. Arrow, of course, has had a very good Jhin before. Olaf is going to come through, as you mentioned before. The Rek'Sai ban maybe not meaning that much. And Lourlo going to be on a tank in the top lane, so showing off their jungle and matching top. Shen and Renekton should be pretty solid.
Yeah, Renekton definitely going to have pressure in that lane, and is always a very strong laner, especially when you combine him with either Lee Sin or Elise. It gets a little bit scary. However, people also tend to underestimate, Shen in 2v2s early on. He's actually quite good with melee matchups when you get Spirit Refuge on you and your jungler in a 2 versus 2. A lot of people end up overcommitting, and it can get turned around on you, especially with someone like a chain slow like Olaf, or if that taunt lands after you're trying to get away. So definitely have to have a healthy amount of respect still, as long as he's, post level 3.
Quick question for you here. I actually, in my mind, would have liked to see Elise for Phoenix1 over Lee Sin, because they've got a physical damage bot lane and a physical damage top lane. You don't want to have Lee Sin shut down by Ninja Tabby. Also, there's now 0 chance they can play Lucian mid for Ryu. I feel like Elise would be better. Is this like a MikeYeung champion pool thing?
Definitely. If you are at the peak performance on Elise right now, there's no reason not to pick her in this scenario. You already mentioned the damage profile, but also the dive capabilities. We were talking about 2v2s earlier. In those skirmishes, Elise bypasses a decent amount of the things you have to worry about in that 2v2 with Shen. Plus, if it's not a 2v2, you can go for the turret dive, and that is extremely punishing, because if you get literally the first dive off, that level 3 dive, Renekton is going to push you in, and then Elise comes. It's really hard for you to get back in the game, because already giving that gold over makes it very, very unlikely you can win any subsequent 2v2s up topside, and it does snowball.
And we'll see what comes into this one. If you see that snowball comes through regardless, Phoenix1 going to be allowing themselves that Braum pick easily. Liquid threw in 2 support bans of Tahm Kench and Thresh, but all that Xpecial's been playing since he's joined this roster has been Braum and Tahm Kench. The Thresh actually hasn't been picked up yet.
And a lot of people have been playing a ton of Braum recently. There's so many nerfs to the shield stacking items here that Lulu will build, even though Team Liquid's still going to go with it and still going to try and protect Piglet there. Significantly weaker. I would really like to see a rush on the Ardent Sensor, though. I feel like that is the one, you know, shield support build that still feels good to me.
Yeah.
You know, Ardent Sensor into Redemption still, I feel like there's a good amount of power left in that, and so that's why I would expect out of KonKwon. But regardless, all those nerfs are why we're seeing more Braum and more Tahm Kench come through for their team fighting utility and later on in the game, especially with Locket being health-based now. Definitely brings a lot of that utility as well.
Yeah, it is interesting because even though, you're right, Redemption got nerfed for the shielding supports, Locket did kind of get nerfed for the tank supports in that if they buy it first item, it's actually not quite as good for them, and they can't rush Redemption either, but they've still come out pretty nicely at the end of all the changes. Of course, the Orianna and Lulu coming in, so Liquid focusing quite a bit around making sure that Piglet is well protected. 3 different people on the roster can shield him. He's also got someone to heal himself, and ReignOver could be a bit of a harrier in the front line as well. P1, meanwhile, rounding out the lineup with the Taliyah. Ryu's most played of the split by far. This makes it now 6 games, twice as much as any other champion. His second most played being Orianna. Cassiopeia tied up here. So the lineups are together, and we're going to see how much they can kill off Piglet and how much Piglet can be shielded, and he can hard carry the squad.
And so far, if you look at the team compositions, Phoenix1 more early game oriented, and we'll probably have our eyes on them to be the proactive team. Onus kind of on them to start creating action a bit early here with the Lee Sin, you know, with the pushing lanes. And meanwhile, Team Liquid, they should actually feel pretty secure about this. They got the Olaf for ReignOver. It's been, you know, basically his best performing champion this split, plus that kind of security that you talked about. Piglet on the Caitlyn and some late game power.
Absolutely the case here. It's always going to be a fun one to watch for. And again, the way these teams play will be a bit different. I love when the comps play differently onto this one. Fighter on the top lane versus a tank. Phoenix1, of course, bringing in the Renekton. I want to see if Olaf can continue to be a source of strength for ReignOver, or if it has some more misgivings and Inori comes back in the lineup on game 2. But it's all to be played for right now. Both these teams looking to climb up the standings and out of last place. Only 1 win apiece. And here comes game 1. Liquid versus Phoenix1, hoping to get a win.
Who's going to get left in the dust, Phreak? Be the sole owner of that last spot. All right, here we go. Currently, everybody with expected starts here. Caitlyn already, even before the nerfs to Doran's shield, was basically one of the lone marksmen to still go with the Doran's blade, and not changing at all after the nerfs as well.
Yeah, especially when you're against a tank support, there's really no need for the defensive options here. Arrow, of course, is going shield since he's against Caitlyn Lulu.
30 seconds until
Meanwhile, no Raptor wards quite yet. That's pretty much the only early objective that we've seen for the past maybe 50 games or something. Yeah. Aside from the half-hearted sending 5 men bottom to try and kill a Zyra if they're standing far out in lane, which no one does anymore. It's almost always only about Raptor wards now, and there we go. They got one down.
Oh, it's going to be the same Liquid going for the Trinket ward. MikeYeung forced out of his jungle. Oh, there's no ward. Oh, there it is. I missed it.
Oh, sleight of hand. You're looking down at the Raptors, Phreak. Dropped it over red.
And I don't think the particle plays anymore that shows that you placed a ward.
Yeah.
I think you can kind of infer, like, Lourlo walked up for some very strange reason. It probably was the Trinket ward, the red buff, but I don't believe they got confirmation of it. It's not going to be that important regardless, as Ryu comes to keep them safe, and this will be the quick Raptor start from MikeYeung.
Yep, normal Raptor start here. Does get the medium pull from Ryu. Taliyah not the best, but every little bit does help on taking down those small ones. Meanwhile, Olaf here, ReignOver, the classic blue start. Should probably be a power clear, honestly, which is very interesting because we talked about the early power of Renekton plus, you know, either Elise or Lee Sin as far as the level 3s go. They have vision on ReignOver's startup here, so they know that if ReignOver came to counter gank anything on the top side, it would be way out of his way. It would not be an efficient route, and that's something that ReignOver rarely does. He's almost always trying to go the very most efficient jungle clear, and it seems like he is just going to do that power clear. So we'll see if MikeYeung tries to pull any fancy moves, because I always like to also point out Olaf does get low in the jungle. It's possible you can go in and kill him. And though I've said that maybe 20 times, it has happened one time.
It has.
Where an Elise went in and killed the Olaf at his second buff.
Absolutely the case. Right now, the MikeYeung level 3 going to walk through the rest of his jungle and ReignOver. Going to take a quick step to put a trinket ward down. This is very smart. It helps ensure that if there is some kind of invasion from Lee Sin, he'll see it coming, and there won't be any threat on him now as he's going to keep clearing away his jungle, and the power clear will continue.
Yep, yeah, he's very well aware of the possibility that MikeYeung might come in, use that execute damage on the Q, try and finish him off. So that ward actually double purposes to see if he's going for the scuttle as well. Olaf doesn't really want to fight over the scuttles early because his clear speed does depend on getting fairly low in health until he finishes his route. As you can see, once you use your second smite, that's where you heal back up with your level 4 here. Now he can actually go for either the recall or some topside pressure. And we talked about maybe wrapping around back to that side of the map, but it's only after he's cleared every single camp.
Yeah, he's going to walk up to this side of the map right now. Maybe he can fight for a scuttle as Zig walks down looking for a ward to place. Missing ping comes through. They're actually aware that Zig had gone this way, and ReignOver might just barely have seen that trinket. They do stealth pretty slowly, but he's trying to place up here and look for an attempt at and maybe the Raptors respawning. He's near MikeYeung, though. Renekton close by as well. Here comes the fight. Ghost Pop. He's going to be in a 1v3. ReignOver, what can he even dodge at this point? He's got nowhere to go anymore. He can't possibly survive this. The distortion not going to matter. First blood comes through. Double buffs to Zig.
I'm going to go ahead and say he did not see Zig place that ward, Phreak.
Yeah. Yeah,
you're right. That ward was his death sentence. Zig, with a very nice timing and placement on that ward, is basically 100% of the reason they were able to kill ReignOver here. And that is a very, very big pickup to have double buffs now on the Renekton. So he is rewarded for that kill.
Sadly, the blue timed out. I know I called it, but yeah, the blue timed out about 4 seconds before he died. So still, red buff is one you want on Renekton. You can see him bullying Lourlo, giant stun, pops all the fervor stacks, and he can heal up when he gets out of combat.
The bullying intensifies.
Yep.
Take a look here. Maybe we'll get Fog of War. Yeah, there we go.
Wow, he never even sees
Didn't even see the crocodile. What a sneaky boy.
That is the smallest of possible windows. That's insane. And then, yeah, he's just suddenly the 1v3. And choosing to run right, I think, was definitely misplay. He could have run towards the Orianna and past the Renekton and maybe had a chance of living.
Yep. And it is funny also to watch, you know, the only jungler that does not take flash early get caught in those scenarios, because almost every single other jungler gets out of that using flash, using whatever dash ability they have. But Olaf, that's his main weakness, has neither of those. And Phoenix1 very happy to get that early gold.
Absolutely. And we'll see if that goes a little bit farther here. Only a 200 gold lead for Phoenix1, though. The rest of the map has been farming pretty nicely. Slooshie actually +5 right now, and Lourlo, even despite that red buff, doing pretty good. Some of that, of course, is he teleported back to lane, so that is a summoner spell down, but also credit to Piglet and KonKwon for a good 2-on-2 so far.
ReignOver has thrown down some assist pings there as he goes for the deep wards, but neither mid laner was around, so is able to get off his vision. Won't matter too much to MikeYeung. They both saw each other, so trade of information there. And MikeYeung should also theorize that there are wards left around in his jungle, since he saw ReignOver with a tracker smite, and it is empty.
It is, yeah. I forget if you can. Yeah, you can. You can track the number of charges on someone's sight stone or smite stone. So yeah, you just can't see how many they placed. That got removed like a year and a half ago. Piglet gets a shield, goes from auto attacks right in melee range of Xpecial though, but there's no follow-up damage to be had. 3 stacks on, no stun, and Piglet still looking pretty good here. Honestly, only -9 CS in a double range lane is not bad, actually. Credit to Arrow and Xpecial for holding up pretty well in a pretty difficult 2-on-2.
Doran shield, baby.
Yep,
definitely helps out a lot in those types of matchups. Jinx. MikeYeung does take a little venture into ReignOver's jungle and realizes that he's been spotted out, though.
Shockwave, but there's no gank to be had just yet. Running in from across the map. Pops the he's got slow resistances. Axe not going to land just yet. Flash chase for Slooshie. Auto Q is going to come in. The kill is there. Liquid getting their first trade kill finally in this game. Taliyah looking for a bit more damage on an Arrow. Got to get the root on a Piglet, though. They got to back off of this one. Caitlyn, not 6, no stun to be had.
So we saw the weaknesses of Olaf, and then immediately after, the strengths. Level 6, pop the ultimate, nothing can stop you, and he just runs down the mid laner after Slooshie lands a very nice shockwave, setting himself up, you know, to complement the CS lead that he's already gotten. Now he's got that kill, and this is definitely, you know, Slooshie's time to shine.
Definitely is. Good for him. Sorkshoe's in there as well, so the burst damage is going to be even higher. His kill threat is going up. Xpecial tries to freeze the wave as long as he can to buy a bit more time for Arrow to walk back down, but of course, smart play by KonKwon and Piglet showing up to shove it back in, and actually pushing in a cannon wave is going to slow them down, so it's not the best recall for Piglet.
So they just saw MikeYeung leaving after exiting the jungle, and Ryu went for that trade because, you know, he had MikeYeung there, but ReignOver is on the way, ignores MikeYeung, as Olaf can do quite easily, and Slooshie does flash to ensure that he gets the last hit. You could have left that for ReignOver to clean up with his axes, but does burn the summoner, and I think it is worthwhile just because Orianna going to scale so well, and I really do like having a super strong mid laner at this point.
Yeah.
Olaf already can win the 1v1, so doesn't really need that extra gold.
Yeah, I just wonder if a flash is worth moving 150 gold around. It's maybe expensive, but we'll see. Of course, if he takes over, then it's the right call after all, but if he gets punished, we'll see what happens. He has Ghost up still, so could be good. And ReignOver back into the mid lane. They know Ryu's flashless and ghostless. Dissonance could give him speed, but it's not going to happen just yet. Xpecial roaming around. Nice aggressive ward to track for KonKwon, who might have just stepped out of the brush.
Well, good ward there from ReignOver. Does see that there are 4 members of Phoenix1 converging to try and trap him. And Xpecial was a bit of a bait there on the Raptors.
Yeah, nothing too bad taken up just yet. So we have, once again, a pretty tied game here in this. Top lane basically equal. Mid lane is the advantage on one side. And bot lane actually pretty nice for Liquid as well. It's just P1 able to hold up in gold. ReignOver kills away a control ward, and Zig just going to go for the quick recall. He already proxied a wave, so he has tons of time to walk back to the lane with, and it means once again Zig can save this TP. But the fact that Lourlo did teleport to the lane is going to mean nothing. It's going to come back from cooldown very, very soon.
Yeah, not to mention he's also Shen, has Stand United. You know, if a panic breaks out down bottom, he can easily join. Team Liquid do want to do everything to avoid the possibility of Piglet getting behind. They want gold, definitely, on the Caitlyn to kind of balance that Orianna threat. So they have their 2 strong late game damage types. ReignOver.
Shen is there. 3-person dive for you. Literally nothing you could do about this. It was impossible to outplay it. Zig TP's in to kill a caster minion.
Great mid lane focus here from Team Liquid, sticking to the plan even after the early little hiccup. Whoop. And Piglet taking care of business himself.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is Liquid looking good everywhere. They have the plan, which is, hey, let's make sure Piglet can carry. But they're actually not even using him to win just now. He's ahead in lane. That's nice, but it's actually Slooshie and ReignOver doing a lot of hard work in the mid lane.
We always talk about, you know, sticking to the plan of offensive Shen ultimates, using the cooldown when available here. So they know that the double summoner is still down on Ryu. Even though the Ghost is very close to coming back up, there's no way, even if it had come up a bit earlier and their timing was off, that even the Ghost speed, taking a while now to actually ramp up, would have gotten him out of that.
Yeah, absolutely the case. And of course, you can't ride the wall while in combat. So as soon as he sees the Olaf, he's already got an axe towards his face, and there's just no way out. Nothing that Ryu could have done. So 800 gold lead now. Liquid hoping that they can continue to topple some giants here. Their 1 win so far was against Team Dignitas, who up until yesterday was in first place. So we know they have the ability to beat top teams. Phoenix1 maybe the quality of a playoff team with this new roster with rookie to split MikeYeung. We'll see what they can get out of this. Right now, waiting to see what comes through as Lourlo and Zig trading blows, and a really nice time Spirit's Refuge actually eats the entire Ruthless Predator W.
Lane swap is in effect. Phoenix1 looking to push down an early turret here. But so are Team Liquid.
Oh, they don't quite get the slow, and there's no taunt to be had just yet. They're not going to go for the play. 4v4, and out they go. Now they walk away, and yep, once again, the mirrored lanes are here. I gotta say, I really like the items out of Piglet, though. Oh, the flash time! Whoa, he face checked for a ward! Kicks across the lane, the damage of it coming across. He's flashing for safety a bit longer. Here's the flash chase for Xpecial, gonna get the slow, gonna get the kill off with the passive. And that is one picked up. Now ReignOver forced to run away. No Ghost available, but Piglet throwing his life away, and ReignOver may be next. Suddenly Ryu's here, and he's built the wall, and Liquid's gonna pay for it. There goes all the kills, 3-0.
Oh my God, Steve does have to pay for that wall. Phoenix1 happy to clean up the top side of the map. Piglet with one extra step into the warded brush. Everything comes crashing down. You were almost there, Phreak. I had to push you over the edge.
That was amazing. We got the 2 references. Kobe, you're my favorite. All right,
meanwhile,
Phoenix1 smashing.
Piglet is Phoenix1's favorite at the moment because that was not just a single kill given over, from the carry. That completely devastating here. This is an Infernal Drake that is also up. They lost a tremendous amount of map control with that play. Definitely will be remembered, I'm sure. Yeah. That will be recorded for the analyst desk.
Ooh, I can guarantee you that's going to be one of the replays for this one. That play was massive, and he knew they were around. It was a huge misstep right there, but there
Lourlo
goes the Infernal Drake. Lourlo in a battle with Ryu. Nice taunt. And let's see, there's more to be coming because the Ghost is in for ReignOver. Shockwave is up, it's going to find one. Down goes Zero. And another one points at Xpecial. The snipe comes in, down 200 health. He's going to jump the wall. He doesn't have the cooldown. He had no way out. Zig tried to give him the option. Doesn't matter at all. A quick 2-0 pickups for Slooshie.
Okay, Team Liquid are able to get some back. Let's see how much pressure they can get on the mid and bottom turrets while they have the 2-man advantage. Should be able to take up this one. Mid lane also going to take a significant amount of damage, so a bit of a swing backwards.
Yeah, and you were right, Kobe, getting Slooshie that gold. He's 4-0 right now, no assists on him. He got his flashback without getting punished, so a very large Orianna in the mid lane. And for a comp you'd almost expect built around Piglet, it looks like it's the Orianna carrying.
And remember, this is so critical because Team Liquid also have very nice scaling in their composition. But again, here's another look at Piglet walking up through the brush. Phoenix1 jump on the opportunity. 3 flashes blown so far in the play. Xpecial ensures that they can get the kill. And then this is the beautiful wall from Ryu. Able to cut both of them off, get 2 extra kills, meaning that they had plenty of time then to take the objective. They did also, reach for that Infernal, which I still think is a good idea.
Yeah.
However, the escape, Team Liquid did a good job of getting out there just quick enough to chase down a couple of extra kills for themselves, which is definitely going to go a long way to fuel the late game.
Sure. You could argue that an Infernal Drake is worth 2 kills in its own way anyway. Of course, the turret fell in the bot lane afterwards. Maybe that's a bit more than you'd like to give out, but we're back on the map now. Liquid with the dual lane top side. There is no turret for P1 to kill up here, but Piglet can certainly keep the siege moving and look for some extra gold with this.
Meanwhile, we've got Zig in the bottom lane, has pushed up, and then he goes to invade the jungle. He doesn't even stop off on the red, knowing that it is in fact there, and instead is kind of hovering around there, waiting for a gank onto the mid lane, onto Slooshie, this 4-0 Orianna that is set up to carry the game. Those shockwaves are going to be very important to Team Liquid's team fighting.
Yeah, they are. We'll see if they can lock down those targets just like the last few times. Those shockwaves have been very good from Slooshie. Looks like, as Liquid was saying, they've been choosing their lineups based on scrim results, that KonKwon performing better than Matt, Slooshie performing a bit better than Golden Glue, and this is actually a pretty good performance by him so far. This is maybe the lineup that Liquid finds that works out for them. And we'll see if they can keep making this work.
I still feel like that's definitely in flux at the moment, change from game to game, but so far, definitely making it work. And again, more pressure onto that mid lane turret that was down around 50% because of those counter kills they got after the Dragon Chase. And this is all very, very good as far as getting to their later stages of team fighting, where you get the Olaf charging forward with Shen on top of him. And then you kind of gain momentum in a team fight. So that it opens up space for Orianna and Caitlyn to deal their damage, and you don't have to reactively use the Shen ultimate on one of those carries because he's in the front line, he's taunting, he's peeling for them.
Yeah, your defense is an exceptionally good offense of an Olaf and a Shen running you down with shockwaves on top, so could be impossible to deal with this if it keeps going this way, but the gold's still very close, and Phoenix1 is up this Infernal Drake, so they are still complete within striking distance. Black Cleaver is done on Zig. He can tank Shred now. Lourlo did go Sunfire, actually. We've seen so much more Titanic Hydra out of Shen, but with the physical damage top and physical damage jungle, he's actually gone for the more armor-heavy build, delaying the Hydra. Yeah,
and it definitely does less damage to champions now. It's still very good for pushing, still very good for getting his side waves in the area that Team Liquid would like to push up on the bottom lane. Right now, he is there with Stand United and Teleport. A little bit of a fight here over the Rift Herald. She will despawn in 2.5 minutes. Yeah, we'll see if they go for it here. Not yet, of course, because the team really putting the heavy pressure in. Piglet still splitting in the top side.
Very few teams actually have their marksman anywhere but mid this late into the game, but Piglet gonna keep split pushing on the Caitlyn. It's a somewhat safe champ, but can be run down by like Renekton. MikeYeung gonna get top scuttle control for this time around. Piglet gonna fight him for it. He's forced to run away. Okay, you can see P1 are doing the traditional lane assignments, right? Arrows in the mid lane, Ryu comes back and forth from top to not, but it's actually Slooshie still holding him in from TL. It's unorthodox.
And they are sharing a little bit of it. Again, yeah, they just recommit Piglet to that top side. One more wave. This is kind of the opportunity for Phoenix1. They have Taliyah wall, they have Jhin roots if anyone's able to land damage to be able to secure those. But they're just spreading out to try and deal with. Uh-oh.
They've caught air with this one. He's got heal, he's got flash, he's burning them both, but ReignOver still on the chase to get one kill picked up at MikeYeung Xpecial. Can't do anything about it either. The ReignOver terror reign still going. The reign of terror. I screwed it up. Okay.
I like it. Good enough. Tower gonna go down in the end though, and that was the combo we talked about. ReignOver, he doesn't actually go and overextend and try and chase down the Jhin as well. Just secures the kill that they already had locked up there with that double. And it looked like the better choice since in the end, Lourlo's Stand United did end up getting interrupted. Zig probably got over there with the W to stun him out of it or something. And that'll be just enough for them to start up the Rift Herald. 3v1, they should be able to finish it too. Or maybe kill Ryu.
And he's gonna put the Ghost for the play, gets a bit of damage on ReignOver, who is Ghost and ultiless. And it means they get control back over this.
Piglet from the top side never comes down to secure that objective. Just finishes his farming and then goes for the recall. So Phoenix1 pick it up.
Wow, and it was leashed by Liquid for them, so gotta say that's gonna help them a little bit. Liquid, of course, holding the momentary gold lead, but Rift Herald can turn it around at least a little bit. This time the trinket goes over to Ryu, which I gotta say, when you have a Lee Sin on your team, I actually like putting it not on the Lee Sin, so he has that trinket to ward hop.
All right, well, here we go with the start. ReignOver just get the double axe hit and then changes targets, goes back to secure the ones that they already have cornered here. And we
watch bot lane.
Went bottom. I assumed that they were going to do that before he stunned interrupted, but I guess that's the aftermath of him going in for the stun to interrupt the Stand United.
Yeah, didn't need him anyway, so I guess he's fine regardless. But yeah, nice little attempt by Zig to get him out of that play. A wild growth and a shockwave, pretty good hit confirmed. Here comes the wall. ReignOver has nowhere to go. He is in a 1 versus 4. Shockwave catches 2 though. He gets run through the front line. Arrow is gonna go down. Wild growth with a flash from KonKwon. Buys a bit of time. The stun comes in. The knockback is there. Seismic shove takes one down, and MikeYeung gonna get one as well. Zig just barely staying alive, but there's the taunt flash across the front line. One kill comes through to Piglet. Now the chase on towards Xpecial, but the turret's a bit much, and Ryu can help him get the kill thanks to courtesy of MikeYeung. Now they go, the trade comes in for Slooshie again.
That's a 5-kill Orianna now. Slooshie with a big burst there to finish off MikeYeung and grab himself some of those buffs.
3 for 3, all said and done. Xpecial and Ryu alive. Slooshie and Lourlo on the other side of this one. Close fight.
Yeah, I mean, Ryu does trap ReignOver in with Phoenix1, but then turns offensive immediately because that is his only option. You know, dangerous cornered animal here. Watch out because the Slooshie Orianna ball right in place, and it is another good shockwave from him, which immediately takes out Arrow. Then it gets a little dicey as they continue it, right? They are able to clean up the eventual kill onto Arrow, but Piglet flashes forward here to try and finish off Zig, and barely is able to get it off, but that means both of his summoners are down when MikeYeung lands this Q. So he can go finish off Piglet, and is very close to getting out, but Slooshie tags him with the end of that burst.
I think Piglet was supposed to live too. He 90 caliber netted into the minefield of Ryu. He could have maybe bought a bit of time against MikeYeung because he landed the Q. He has no ult.
Yep.
He actually might have kited that out.
That's exactly what finished him.
Yeah, that's unlucky actually. That's a mechanical misplay from Piglet. 1, 2, and 2. He's actually the least impactful member of the team. Contrary to what you might expect from him, he's not doing quite as well as normal for him, but Liquid's still on the front foot here, 1,300 gold up.
And speaking of that foot, it is Slooshie's foot. 9 out of 9 kills has he participated in. So much of their gold is on that Orianna, and that's perfect for their team fight.
Yes, it is, and the shockwaves have been great so far. Liquid have been generally winning team fights, but Zig has split push power. He's got a ton of farm, the most of anyone who's not named Slooshie right now. Putting pressure on this top lane tier 2. I heard a Knight's Vow come in. And that's actually from ReignOver putting on a Piglet, I assume. Gonna get rooted up, though, has to buy a bit more time with the team. Ryu sliding across the map. It's gonna be okay.
It's interesting because,
Slooshie,
yeah, I was gonna say, I always put it on the most fed member because Caitlyn right now is still scaling up, doesn't even have, you know, attack speed to go along with her Infinity Edge, and even though you want to use the protection side of Knight's Vow to keep Piglet up, it's just more important right now with Slooshie. Plus, you'll gain so much more health with the amount of damage that your fed mid laner is doing.
Yeah.
Definitely think ReignOver making the intelligent choice there rather than just kind of the default, plop it on an AD carry.
And it is really cool because I know Knight's Vow is not unheard of on tanks. We've seen it since the item came out. We've seen Hoon use it in the top lane and whatnot as well. But it got changed in 7.12. It now has CDR on it, which Olaf freaking loves as a champion overall, getting more axes out and whatnot. So it's even better on this champ, and it's a really nice positive synergy for him to wield this item. For tank stats and offensive stats.
Yeah, I think Knight's Vow was already very good as an item, and the shift in stats is beneficial for pretty much everybody who uses it. Spamming it on most of the junglers, the tank junglers as well, like Nunu and stuff, love that thing. And definitely going to synergize well with helping out a single fed person like Team Liquid are dealing with right now. So, gold extremely close though. Phoenix1 still fighting back. Even though they're facing a bit of scaling here. Zig does get the turret, and got a little bit of extra gold there for them to keep up.
And it means the gold is tied once again. And again, I'll bring back the fact that when the gold is tied, Phoenix1 have better combat Drakes. Their 5v5 maybe not quite as good, you'd argue, because of, again, a 5-kill Orianna. There's a shockwave, and Ryu is likely to die. Doesn't have flash. Here comes the dive in for ReignOver, and that kill is going to come through. Shutdown comes for him thanks to help picks. Big knockup for Xpecial, but he's taunted. He's going to fall off right away, and the extra stats don't matter when you get outplayed in the fight. 4 kills now for ReignOver.
Same story over and over. Uh-oh.
Arrow's in a bad way. Shots coming through, but maybe they get Slooshie off of that one. And yes, MikeYeung, rookie of the split, you have to believe, doing a lot more with this one. Now ReignOver forced to run. Here comes the curtain call. One in for Arrow. KonKwon not long for the world. Juking back and forth and just dies to auto attacks. And Arrow, with great trigger discipline, makes it happen. Tigger discipline. Calvin and Hobbs know all about it.
Tigger was my favorite of those Winnie the Pooh animals.
That's the one. Calvin and Hobbs, different tiger. My brain's not working too good.
Yeah, you got scrambled eggs up there. All right, let's take another look at this fight because this is another case of, all right, the Olaf Shen thing we talk about, it's happening again. And that allows Slooshie here on the backline to get a lot of the damage. But then Phoenix1, this time, are able to turn it around after Team Liquid, you know, have taken their spoils and they've gotten their kills, and it's a 3 versus 2. Phoenix1 still looking for the opening here. MikeYeung and Arrow able to chunk down Slooshie and take him out. This means everyone else has to run because even though Arrow is so low, he's under the turret, and the damage source still gets to apply here, even though he misses a lot of the shots on the outside. Bit of cover fire, I guess, there for the front line as they gain vengeance for their slain allies.
Well, has Jhin KD a bit worse now with his 2 deaths?
Yeah.
I imagine that
those stats are coming
games
into the game.
Yeah,
I would assume.
This KDA sadly under 20 at this point, but it's ReignOver now, beset by Xpecial and Arrow, the root, the stun, and he's
no damage.
Really tanky.
Nice shield.
He's real tanky, and that 4-shot crate hadn't come out yet. It's what you're investing in with this build, especially with the flat armor pen, with the lethality of the Yomus. The tanks aren't dying quite as fast here. Arrow does need help from his team. We know Ryu can deal that. ReignOver still waiting in the side. Lourlo's ulti is down for some time. Does have summoner teleport. Zig does too, though. Zig actually recently ulted, so it's on cooldown for quite some time.
And I think the main thing that Phoenix1 have to worry about is tracking this Shen stand united, because ReignOver running at them is one thing. ReignOver running at them with Lourlo ready to piggyback into the fight is complete devastation for their backline. So while that is on cooldown, they can move up into the map. They can try and get some vision, you know, to play with here. But once it's ready, they have to be very, very careful about how much respect they're giving to Olaf's positioning here, and take into account the speed boost of Lulu and the speed boost of Orianna that can be applied to ReignOver to really get that train rolling.
Absolutely the case. Going back to KonKwon for a second, the Ardent Sensor is the pickup. You
Good
thought
man.
so, I thought so. We all approve here in this one. It's going to feel pretty good. Even has synergy with the Orianna because it gives attack speed, and she does have that auto attack passive, so it's actually okay no matter kind of who you shield. ReignOver carries 2 at
Everybody attacks, Phreak.
Everyone does
has
attack.
synergy with everybody. Boom. Did I just blow your mind?
I mean, I feel like Karthus is almost never going to care. He's going to spam Qs instead.
Get your auto attack in there in between everyone. You gotta be efficient. Optimize, Phreak.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I play jungle Karthus, and you do have to actually get some auto attacks in there, but either way, it's an interesting game right here. Phoenix1 back in the gold. It has been a back and forth game, absolutely, and you really can't tell who's going to win this one just yet right now. As they wait for the next Drake to spawn in 1 minute 20 seconds, Zig continues to play split push and now does have the highest farm in the game. His stone plate done as well. Titanic Hydra also in the inventory, so he is tanky. He's got damage, and Zig can start really taking over these fights.
Yeah, we'll see about that, because it does get more and more difficult for a Renekton to navigate team fights like this. He cannot deal Olaf Shen, and Lulu is protecting the Caitlyn and Orianna, which are already a little bit difficult to dive. So definitely are gonna have to keep an eye how he does play these fights. With Flash, I would have confidence in him being able to definitely pose a lot of threat, but let's take a look at this wall.
And here comes the flank in. Piglet cut off on the side. They go towards the flash, but Xpecial stays alive with a quick locket pop. And there's a play more buying some time. Zig has yet to join this fight. MikeYeung has Guardian Angel, gets taunted up. He might revive soon. And I was going to connect for this one because the Olaf ult's going to time out pretty shortly. Lee Sin, and on top of a cupcake, gets trapped up and dies right away. That's a 1-for-0, another kill for Slooshie. The knockup is there onto another, and Zig has yet to do anything on this Renekton at all. He's going to get chased down and get picked off by ReignOver. And now Ryu on the wrong side of this fight. Quick Whimsy comes in. The root's not going to matter onto Olaf. And here comes the kill. The Ignite is on, and KonKwon gets the kill. Lourlo flashes for style points.
Flash on his face. Remember that. Yeah, honestly, though, we're kind of seeing the difference in damage scaling here, where the DPS coming out of the backline of Team Liquid is immense. And they got to start that fight off with a pick onto Xpecial. So Xpecial had maybe 15% life at the start of the fight, plus the locket activation. So Team Liquid absolutely easily able to steamroll that 5-on-5 and look very, very comfortable as far as game number 1 here. Look at the ineffectiveness of the Jhin, and you kind of mentioned it, you touched on it earlier, where flat armor penetration is difficult against the front line, but even some of the shots getting through onto the back line were nullified by shielding. So ultimate down here, it just looked like Phoenix1 should have been in total scramble mode, because it's very difficult for them, to have an upper hand in that team fight, since they started it out with such a health deficit, and they're already facing such a good 5-man squad.
It really was, and of course you can see the rest of the chase down here. But it's a fight that Phoenix1 opted into. They TP'd in, or they walked in Ryu from the southern jungle to try to get him onto the flank, and he was unable to really enter much at all. His damage graph could have been incredibly small. I think it's coming into that fight, Zig was right behind Slooshie in gold. They were about 300 apart, so Zig, you're right, his champion is not a good team fighter, but might have had the income for it. Now ReignOver switches the link to Piglet. Keep him alive, but he's just fine with that one. Quick cooldown, but smart choice all the same. Kites back out.
Mountain Drake also picked up for Team Liquid, so not only do they have strong scaling, strong team fighting, Baron buff on themselves to take a bunch of outer turrets, but again, the pressure on objectives super, super high for the late game. Also helps with cleaning up all these turrets even quicker. With double mountains, they should be able to clean up all these secondary turrets, just Baron buff up all the minions, and then the autos from everybody are going to do that much more.
So you're going to let some of the minions die off, or maybe group up a little bit quicker as the rest of that squad is trying to siege a bit towards mid lane. Lourlo does have Standing United back available, level 16, so it's a max rank ulti. And mid lane under fire, and no one is here to stop it, so Liquid really starting to push far ahead in this game.
And the ways back in for Phoenix1 are very, very few. You do need to utilize your creative aspect of your composition. Taliyah ultimates, Lee Sin insects, catching people out, or splitting team fights up like that. And using the terrain to your advantage is key. The problem is, you can't even try and mount one of those plays at the moment, right? You're facing a Baroned up siege comp right here from Team Liquid. Well, not really a siege comp, but they have Caitlyn, so
so it works. And she's rapid fire cannon, so the damage is there, and it's going to hit from pretty far away. They've got a siege minion.
There you go. It's doing work on the turret already. 60%.
Did you know that you can shoot a turret with rapid fire cannon and it will send the chain lightning to the champion?
I did.
Yep. Happened right there.
I also know that if you have rapid fire and static shiv, your static shiv will charge faster.
Yes.
But you won't get both of the bonus damages.
That's correct. And the reason it charges faster is because rapid fire cannon specifically says it charges faster, which also charges your Warlord's Bloodlust faster, because it all is on the same mechanic.
Nice tag team. All right.
Yeah.
Now the inhibitors are going down. Oh, Phoenix1 make this
Hope for
stand.
the tag team Liquid. Piglet behind it. Waldo, he's got some safety, get some shots onto Xpecial. The snipe gonna come in, gonna land on him, but he stays alive. Now ReignOver rooted up, and he's got no ulti left. Zig along the back, looking for the flank play to happen. MikeYeung forced to run away. A big stun, but it's only on the Lourlo. He's simply too tanky. And they get the one kill on a Ryu. A nice pick off right there. The shockwave from Slooshie. Obviously a big deal there. Double inhibitor down right now. Looking to close the game out. 5v4. Braum up on that crit did not do nearly enough damage. The shields are too good, and the turret's now continuing to fall as top lane 2-2 drops. The Nexus turret's going to go away as well. The kickback means nothing as Zig goes down to 1,000 HP. MikeYeung in the wings, forced to ward hop it away. Still polymorphed and won't quite die just yet, but the turrets are falling, and those things can't run away just now. Snipes come back towards a full HP tank and that full HP Piglet as well. Looking for the angle. Not going to find it there. The next is going to fall, and Liquid going to close out game 1 over Phoenix1.
A lot of promising things for Team Liquid in this game. Drafting with a clear purpose, sticking to that game plan, camping mid lane there for Slooshie. Tremendous payoffs. Even though ReignOver's first move to gank on the mid lane gets turned around, he does not give up hope, and they absolutely destroy Ryu there, getting this Orianna incredibly fed, allowing them to rely on the scaling of their DPS, for this late game. And there was nothing that Phoenix1 really were able to come up with to deal with the charge of Olaf Shen, allowing Team Liquid to really come up very big in their opener against Phoenix1.
Yeah, and it seems like so far this is a definitely improved squad for Liquid. Of course, they did lose 0-2 yesterday, but it was to Cloud9. Like, that's a very good team. Liquid hasn't beaten C9 in ages, it feels like, at this point. and so it's like, well, a 0-2 start feels bad for the new lineup in air quotes, but Phoenix1 actually seems like a solid team, and they had a pretty solid game against them. Slooshie having a great performance as well individually, so maybe he keeps getting the nod as a starter, and we'll see if that can happen some more. But now, for more on that Liquid victory, let's check in with Dash and the analysts.
Thank you very much, Phreak. Hey, Team Liquid. Hey. There you go.
Shut us up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Getting the victory over Phoenix1 here in game 1 of the series. They'll have to do it again, but they looked pretty damn good here. As Kobe said, there are a lot of points of improvement. To him, a clear draft strategy, and that's where I want to dive first. I mean, we saw the Rek'Sai ban come through against ReignOver, but that means you're leaving the Olaf open, one of the champions that he's performed quite well on throughout this split.
This is one of those comps that I think is almost ideal for Team Liquid. You know, you have the Olaf instead of the Rek'Sai. I think the Rek'Sai, they were trying to play it tank yesterday, whereas a lot of people want to build it more bruiser and AD focus. So you get the Olaf instead, which is very happy to build tank. Ori is one of Slooshie's best champions, going all the way back to his teammate days. He was crushing on that. And then you have Caitlyn for Piglet. You have this really protect the AD carry comp that also has the ability to dive if the Olaf gets ahead. And that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, and I feel like there's some things that could have been adjusted here. I think you dropped the Rek'Sai ban for an Olaf ban.
Yep.
If they take Caitlyn, you get Rek'Sai. If they take Rek'Sai, you get Caitlyn. So I feel like that's a little bit better there, because the Rek'Sai, I think, is something that you can play as well if you're MikeYeung, as opposed to maybe the Olaf isn't the shared champion there. So a takeaway isn't something you could possibly do. But then I think the second part of the draft phase was the really interesting part, because instead of Braum, I feel like you really want Tahm Kench here. And TL kind of smelled that. They were like, you know what? You want to eat somebody up and keep them away from the Olaf.
Right.
ReignOver kept diving in.
You can't stop the Olaf.
And the Braum is just standing there like, oh God, what's going on? He can maybe stop an axe, but at that point, ReignOver was so far ahead, he could just dive the backline and it wasn't an issue. So I like that ban of the Thresh and the Tahm Kench, two really big people who could get people away from the Olaf.
And we talk about the threat of the Olaf, especially when it does get off the ground. I want to take a look at the early game action created by ReignOver. Kobe mentioned the first gank doesn't necessarily work out, but that doesn't mean that we don't go for another attempt. And pretty soon, Slooshie and ReignOver are fed.
Yeah, this was a small misplay by Ryu. Didn't actually get any E damage on the W pushback. Slooshie's very capable of chasing forward. If he's lower health, maybe MikeYeung can get the kill, but doesn't quite work out. And this is kind of off to the races now that you got the summoners out. You just keep diving over and over and over with this Ori Olaf combination.
Yeah, and you can see at the bottom there, player of the game for Slooshie. 100% kill participation in this game on the Orianna. And he was up in CS, 40+ over Ryu because of these early pressures that went his way. But you have to keep in mind that first gank didn't go his way, right? You ended up with Ryu having an advantage off the laning phase at the beginning, and Slooshie was able to play the Orianna, which historically is one of his best champions, and play it very well too.
Exactly, but again, we're just looking at this composition when we talk about clear direction, especially when it gets off the ground. I mean, in those clips, you can see how terrifying it is to see a ghosted Olaf with Orianna ball speed up as well as Lulu speed up on top of that. You're not getting away from these guys if they want to fight.
And I think this is a really good composition for everybody on Team Liquid. Like Mark was saying at the start, it's comfort for pretty much across the board. Everybody's playing something that they're quite good at stylistically and just the champion itself. And they're playing to their big carries that have been performing. Piglet has been really consistent. Even though he didn't step up this game, they still put him on something that could dominate lane.
Yep.
And then ReignOver on the Olaf, I think you can almost never go wrong with that. And then Slooshie was the person who stepped up and surprised this game.
But that doesn't mean everything was fixed here in just one game. So I want to take a look at a play that took place in the top lane 12 minutes in. This is going to turn out 3-0 in Phoenix1's favor. Let's talk about it.
Team Liquid was sitting in a brush trying to hopefully catch out a dive, but their comp has no hard CC amongst any of those people aside for the Shen taunt, really. So their decision to sit in the brush was not a big one. And then they show no patience here. And as soon as Phoenix1 had backed out of the lane, Piglet just runs all the way to the other far side of the lane where Phoenix1 hadn't actually backed out all the way. So he gets caught out, killed here, and now it's a long chase down sequence where Taliyah at the end is going to be able to come in here and cut all these people off, getting a triple kill and the first turret of the game, which actually gave P1 a bit of a gold lead that, you know, TL and them were fighting back and forth over and over. And if so much wasn't going right around Slooshie, which I think is not something you can, you know, kind of guarantee every single game, you see that it can get very, very scary if things aren't going that well around mid.
I mean, it happened again there at that 25-minute mark. You can see it dips back towards a Phoenix1 gold lead. So again, a couple different instances throughout this game in which Team Liquid drops the ball in terms of team execution and or their patience level in closing out the game, but they were still able to right the ship, right? And ultimately come away with the victory. And I think that's a big thing with this squad, as we've seen, has struggled, you know, throughout the many iterations of rosters they've had, is that mental fragility, and can they find a way to close out the games?
I think this is an example of the comp kind of carrying them through, because even though they're throwing, you saw the kind of game-ending team fight that got them Baron. P1 opened up on them and tried to get through Olaf, but at that point, Olaf's tanky, getting Shen shield, Ori shield, Lulu shield, and he's running you down the entire time. So they just didn't have the damage to punch through that Olaf with all the shields, and then that just buys so much space for TL to kind of make a mistake or two, and then they can kind of recover from there.
Yeah, and I feel like they really shut down Arrow in this game compositionally, because he can never walk forward when the Orianna ball will be able to threaten him, and Slooshie got ahead, and the Olaf is going to cause constant pressure on him, and then he doesn't have safety tools. So the draft was actually very smart from Team Liquid to kind of prevent TL from playing the way that they have been playing and finding success.
On top of that, gold's going into ReignOver's pocket so he can itemize that armor, and while Arrow isn't finding the gold to get to that armor pen, we saw in those late game team fights really tickling the tanks as they charged at his face. Moving into game 2 here, though, for Phoenix1, knowing that at multiple times throughout the game they did find good fights, how would you adjust here on blue side? Obviously, bans get opened up a little bit just because they don't have to hit the, you know, the Zacs necessarily that you have to throw out on red side. So do you expect them to make enough changes in pick ban to maybe put Team Liquid on something a little bit more uncomfortable?
I think so, just because on the red side, one, you have to pick up the Zac ban, so that's gone most likely now. And then it felt like the LeBlanc ban is more of a second rotation ban, where Team Liquid is not the team that's usually blinding their mids early on. They're much more likely to take AD carries and junglers and supports. So if you're banning Olaf, Caitlyn, Rek'Sai now on blue side, then that's something that's fine for P1. You can drop the Zac. You can probably drop the LeBlanc until you get into the second ban phase.
Yeah, instead maybe pick up a Caitlyn ban, but then it starts getting a little bit fuzzy with what they would pick up very early on, because TL have actually picked up the Galio ban even on blue side this game, probably because they wanted to first pick that Caitlyn. So kind of could have seen that coming. But yeah, for adjustments, you definitely want to, you know, look at the bans, figure out what exactly you want to first pick, and kind of draft around that.
TL gets game 1. We're going to step away for a quick break. When we return, it's game 2 between Phoenix1 and Team Liquid. Stay with us.